Hi, welcome to Speak the Truth 2.0. I'm Cindy and this is Elijah. We'd like to welcome you. Before we get started, I just want to say that the words of my mouth and the meditation of my heart be acceptable in my sight, my Lord, my strength, and my Redeemer. And we want to just say congratulations and God bless to our soldiers, and we're honoring our vets. We're honoring those who have given their lives for our country, as well as those who are on active duty. So we're going to go. We know that the No Kings protest is going on, and we are going to look at all of that. But I want to start this live stream with some on a positive note, because today is not about the No Kings protest. Today is about our men and women that have died for this country, and those who are still serving this country, and those who are vets. So we want to make sure that the first thing we do is honor them, because like the protesters are saying, is that they want to distract from the military parade, that they're suffering from Donald Trump syndrome, that they don't understand that these are the people that are keeping our nation safe. And I felt as though that they needed to stand down. Let us honor our men and women in the military. We have 365 days a year that they can protest. And one thing that I did realize is that in 2020, when Biden won the election, it was all said and done. There were not all these protests, even with all the shenanigans that was going on through that administration. We honored the elected official. We endured the worst administration in my lifetime. Okay, but we didn't do all these hands off. We didn't do all these protests. Even Bush back in the day, which I'm going to share with you, he did a veterans parade, and there wasn't any issues or any problems, that they were honored. So it's like night and day, like the responses. But we're going to start with showing how, our military being honored. And this is from 1991, when Bush, when he had his military parade. So we want to just start with that, because I believe that that's why we're here. And we want to show some honor to our vets who have fought for this country and died for our country.
The U.S. servicemen and women who fought in the Gulf War, both those who returned and those who died. 200,000 enthusiastic spectators watched a parade of troops and their weapons, all part of the national victory celebration.
Hey, Eric Ingber, woman and outlaw.
It was a day for saying thank you to heroes. Fittingly, it began with those who did not come back. At Arlington National Cemetery, President Bush placed a wreath at the Tomb of the Unknowns. And fighter planes passed over in the missing wingman formation to honor the men and women who died in the Gulf War. The president choked back tears several times as he spoke directly to loved ones of those who died.
We celebrate the fact that each person we commemorate today gave up life for principles larger than each of us. Principles that at the same time form the muscle and strength of our national heart.
Eileen Rollins said her son Jeffrey, killed in the desert, would have liked the ceremony.
Hey, Essence.
Jeff was total military. He loved the service, he loved his country.
Faye Hawes' son Jimmy died when a missile hit his tank.
He loved what he was doing, and he died for what he believed in.
On the wide boulevards, just a few blocks from the White House, 8,000 Desert Storm troops were moving out. And once again, it was General Norman Schwarzkopf who set the cadence, leading the way as far as the presidential box, where he spent the rest of the parade as cheerleader and spotter for a clearly delighted George Bush. So much military hardware was moving that at times it appeared Washington was under attack. The stealth bomber, oddly shaped to deceive radar, led a fleet of 82 planes over the parade route. The Patriot missile got the loudest applause of the day. Several 100,000 spectators lined the streets, most with the same message.
We're here just to say thank you and to celebrate our
That's
victory.
right.
To say thank you to all the men and women who serve in the armed forces.
I think that this is a wonderful occasion, but we don't want it to happen again, because we don't want war.
Peace activists had protested against today's celebration, but they drew only a few protesters to their rally. A Harrier jet fighter on display near the parade was splashed with blood, and the protesters were arrested and taken away.
But the overall mood, Bob, was overwhelmingly celebratory and upbeat. And now on Washington's Mall, several 100,000 people have gathered for a USO show tonight, which will be capped off by what they say will be the biggest fireworks display in Washington history.
Eric, this of course was called a celebration to honor those who fought this war, but in many ways it was also in honor of the people back home, wasn't it?
I think that's right, Bob. I think that we sent one of the most professional armies in American history to fight the war against Saddam Hussein. They didn't expect any parades on the way back. They just felt that they had done what they were told to do and had accomplished their job. But I think the civilian sector of the country, the Americans who remember Vietnam and the divisions of that era, all wanted to make sure that the mistakes that happened at the end of that war weren't repeated, and that these troops were given a hearty thank you, and that was all accomplished today.
Thank you, Eric. Marching isn't always fun, but for the soldiers in today's parade, the experience was one big love feast. Pentagon correspondent Jim Stewart now with that.
Thank you! You helped us! You deserve it!
If it was in uniform today, it got hugged, kissed, saluted, and cheered as the American military experienced an outpouring of affection not witnessed here in 45 years.
Fantastic, it's huge. There's so many people, I ain't seen this many people in my life.
It was a day in search of superlatives.
Spectacular.
I think it's great.
Fantastic.
Breathtaking.
It's a nice little picture. It's a nice little kid. Like I said, don't get no better than this.
A day for the heroes of Desert Storm to strut their stuff.
Right now, this Republican cell unit is telling me that the weapon is functional.
A day when soldiers became celebrities.
How many autographs did you get? At least 3 or 4 dozen now. Trying to get the writer's cramp.
I had a beer bought for me. I've had people give me shirts, t-shirts.
Well, I had one lady in particular in an airport while I was in uniform, and she started crying, and she was just welcoming me home, and it was very overwhelming for me because I just didn't expect anything like that.
No one quite expected anything like this.
I felt enthused, you know. I could feel the electricity throughout the crowd as we were marching through.
I figured maybe go to a little small town, maybe your hometown have a parade for you, but not like this.
I think it's fantastic. I was also in Vietnam, and we didn't have anything like this coming back. I think it's great.
Everyone, it seemed, had that other war on their mind as well today.
Everyone's a little guilty about the Vietnam vets. They didn't have as much recognition, and it's a way of showing that we're sorry and let's start all over again.
And some did.
Thank you. Welcome home. And I owe you. Oh, God. Thank you.
Jim Stewart, CBS News, Washington.
You know what? I thought it was appropriate to show Americans how they reacted when, at that time, President Bush had a military parade, and how Americans actually were showing appreciation for what they have done for us. And I just feel as though it has taken so much from our soldiers that this is the Army's 250th birthday. And these people are out here trying to cause havoc. And even a lawmaker has lost his life. You know, this stuff is like escalating to the point that it shouldn't have happened. And while ICE and the police office and the military are trying to do their job, we have people in this country that don't respect the military officers. They don't respect anyone. And I think it's wrong. This is like a different America from just that era. You know, that was in 1991, and this is 2025. And I would be happy to see people, or the American people, speaking and showing respect and honor. The people were crying and thanking the Americans.
Emmanuel Macron treated him to the traditional display of firepower to celebrate French independence. Trump's been pushing for similar pageantry in Washington ever since. Trump's critics say it's anti-democratic to politicize the military.
He's ordering our American heroes, the United States military, and forcing them to put on a vulgar display to celebrate his
He's calling
birthday,
it vulgar. He
just
didn't say
as
that
other failed dictators
in
have done in the
1991 with
The White
Bush.
House pushing back. One official telling
Vulgar.
CNN,
Wow.
quote, no one ever calls Macron a dictator for celebrating Bastille Day. But there's another layer of tension surrounding this event. The recent anti-ICE protests in Los Angeles and other cities, raising concerns about potential unrest in Washington. How specifically did LA play into your planning for this? You have it on the mind?
We're monitoring what's happening there, but to say that because of LA we had to change something, that's not the case, because we planned for that anyway.
The Coast Guard and Secret Service showed us the massive security footprint for the parade.
There'll be double bike rack here, and they'll be on the other side, so about 8 feet of double bike rack.
18 miles of fencing, concrete barricades, hundreds of law enforcement officers. Drones and counter sniper teams will be deployed. On the Potomac River, the commander of a Coast Guard response boat team told us they'll have eyes on threats from the water. What are the biggest vulnerabilities on the water and along the shore?
Sometimes the biggest vulnerabilities are just the edges of those perimeters. So I think we've planned for this event. We've looked at what we need to cover.
Security officials tell us there are no credible threats to this parade, but Secret Service Special Agent Matt McCool says the lone wolf attacker is always the wild card. They'll be extra vigilant looking for threats like that. And he points out this city, with its multiple law enforcement agencies all in close coordination, is uniquely capable of handling an event this size. Brian Todd, CNN, Washington.
Yeah, so anyway, I thought it was like, I'm just trying to show some of what's happening that's positive, that people are looking forward to honoring our men and women that have served this country faithfully. And I'm really appalled at the behaviors of Americans that are demonstrating unpatriotic behavior. That this is the 250th birthday of the United States Army. They have sacrificed everything for us. They have given their lives. They have, been on mission over and over again. Some of them have been deployed numerous times to go and fight for our safety, and many of them didn't have the opportunity to come home. So it's just unbelievable that we can't put aside our differences on this monumental day to honor and salute them and show them the respect that they deserve, just like they did in 1991 for President Bush. There was over 250,000 people that came out to support. Right now, this country is in disarray, that instead of supporting the military, that they're having these anti-ICE protests, like after we have witnessed what had happened in LA. Like they did not need law and order. So it's just unbelievable. But we're going to stay on point, and we're going to show our military in the greatest. Hey, Elijah. We're going to show what we should be showing, but we're going to touch on some of those protests. Hopefully they're all peaceful protests. But it's out of order.
It's also love. He says, God bless.
God bless you, too.
God bless you, too.
All down Constitution Avenue, the U.S. Army stage is over there. All sorts of tractor trailers. So Constitution, for all intents and purposes, is now closed between 15th and 17th Streets. I'm going to ask my photojournalist, Derek Cheston, to swing around here. You can see the traffic that is now blocked off here. Cars having to make a turn. They can't go straight. It is getting busy down here, and if you don't need to be here, don't come down here. This is just the beginning. The road closures and restrictions have officially hit a new level.
I will tell you, fences everywhere, it does make it difficult.
David Quigley and his family in town from Tampa, but even with all of these restrictions in place, he's supportive of the upcoming events.
100%. It's 200 years
Praise
of celebrating the
God.
Army, right? Yeah, well, even better.
Others say they'll be staying far away from this area this weekend.
Hey, I don't live in the city, that's good. I'm not planning to be in the city this weekend for sure.
We are at a point where the closures, including many around the National Mall, are intense. The Office of Personnel Management telling agencies that they can approve flexible work schedules and employees may want to stay away from the downtown area to avoid the congestion.
A legal, permitted, non-violent protest against...
Meanwhile, as far as planned protests for Saturday, groups like Refuse Fascism say they're coming.
I'll reaffirm that our protest is permitted. We have a moral responsibility to be in the streets, and we have a legal right to be in the streets. And we will conduct ourselves in a non-violent way. If there is any violence in these streets, it will be on the hands of Trump and his supporters, and we will not let it intimidate us.
Today, President Trump asked about the so-called No Kings protest planned for Saturday.
I don't feel like a king. I have to go through hell to get stuff approved. No, we're not a king. We're not a king at all.
Restrictions and closures are on a grand scale. From roads to waterways to airports, it's time to plan ahead. And back in now live, you're looking at the traffic along Constitution Avenue as it is backed up and has to go a different direction. This is why OPM is telling a lot of workers that if they don't need to come down here, they definitely shouldn't. You were mentioning Virginia. Remember those closures around the Pentagon and the GW Parkway? A lot of them start tomorrow night and they run throughout the weekend. So just be aware, it's going to be very busy, guys. Back to you.
Absolutely. If you can avoid the area and driving around downtown, you have to do it. Adam Tuss live for us tonight. Adam, thanks so much.
See, we're starting it on a positive note because this is all about our vets, and it's just sad to see our country not on one accord. But you have, the funny thing about it is that America welcomes immigrants. It's just amazing that the protests are pretending like America is saying that it doesn't want immigrants, and that's the lie from hell. That's not what America, the Democrats are trying to
make it all about themselves.
it has to be all about them, but that's not what America is saying. America is saying, come, but you have to apply for citizenship like you would any other country. America say, yes, we want you. We want people to come into this country. But we've had 14 million, 20 million illegal immigrants that have entered this country within the last 4 years. No one can sustain that. There's no country that can sustain that many people coming in. And it seems like the ones that came in, if you really want to become an American citizen, then put your application in. Put your application in. That's how it's done. But the protests are putting up this facade, like we're saying, oh, we don't want immigrants. No, we don't want illegal immigration. That is breaking the law. We have laws. And even you'd be surprised, no, not surprised,
on
but
the left,
even
that there are
legals don't want
to
it.
become a U.S. citizen. Let's speak to some of those who waited in line and chose to do things the right legal way, like G. Van Fleet, Peter Lumage, and Cherie Murray. They're all joining us now.
These
Thanks,
are
to all
legal
of you for,
immigrants.
Joining us tonight. I guess, Cherie, why don't we start with you? We normally think of a place where, in the United States, where we resolve our differences politically without violence as one of the great benefits of this country. In fact, I assume that's what a lot of people who are immigrants want to get away from. What do you think of when you watch this effort to essentially terrorize and intimidate to force a change in policy?
Good evening, Dagan and James. It's a pleasure to be with you guys this afternoon. And so my thoughts, having migrated to this great nation legally, I am in awe. What we're seeing happening in California is not only disgusting, it's un-American. I mean, there's a segment of the population that has become increasingly hawkish on immigration, and that's legal migrants like myself. You know, I came to this country legally. I got my education here. I'm proud to be an American citizen, and I have children who are first generation American citizens. And I am just saddened to see that when federal agents are executing federal law, that they're met with such resistance by not just agitators, but organized protesters, rioters in California.
You managed to survive Mao's Cultural Revolution. Put what we're seeing here in California with the Democrats and the language of control, the lack of a will to stand up for law and order. Put that in perspective based on what you saw in communist China.
This is a Marxist revolution. It's more than a riot.
And this makes me very, very angry to see these people. They're not illegal immigrants. They are illegal aliens. They walk across our border and then they despise America and they hate America. And this to me is absolutely should never be tolerated. And I think that we should absolutely carry out the mass deportation. We cannot have people here who hate America, who want to destroy America. And I just want to say, people like me, we came here legally and we waited in line and we follow the rules and we love this country. And that's what we want. We want legal immigration. We want the people who can contribute, who love this country.
Peter, can you tell us about your pathway into the United States and what you think of as you watch what's happening in LA and other cities now?
Well, when my brothers and I escaped communist Albania 36 years ago, we never thought that we're going to have to deal with this madness that we left behind in Eastern Europe. When my brothers and I escaped Albania, my parents and my siblings were taken to a concentration camp, and my father was tortured to death because he had refused or he had failed to notify the government that we wanted to escape and search for freedom and opportunity. The biggest concern that we should have over here is not the illegals in the United States doing what they are doing. It is the elected officials who are supporting them. When you look at Chris Murphy from the state of Connecticut or Ilhan Omar, and they had the privilege and being members of the United States Congress, and they are encouraging these people to dismantle the very fabric of what made this nation great. That is the biggest concern that we should have. We should support the law enforcement. We should support ICE. We should support President Trump. We should support law and order. If America fails, the whole world is going to fail.
That's right.
Arnold Toynbee years ago said that great civilizations are not murder. They commit suicide. What the West is doing, including the United States, is committing suicide when we're importing people who have disdain and hatred for the greatest country in the world that has provided refuge to them.
Sheree, when you see these rioters waving the flag of another nation, what does that make you feel?
It's totally disgusting, and we heard the president say today, for those who want to burn our American flag, they should be put in jail for at least a year. I mean, not only are we seeing Mexican flags being waved in California during these riots, we're seeing Palestinian flags. And it's just disheartening to know that, you know, our military has fought so hard to keep us American citizens free. And so I wish that, you know, things will settle down as we're seeing that it's coming to a calm right now. But that's because the president deployed the National Guard.
Look at
and
that.
He has, you know,
Welcome to America,
on reserve,
right?
waiting just in the event that something might escalate. But the lawmakers out there, Gavin Newsom, Mayor Bass, even Maxine Waters, they're fanning the flames and they're playing petty politics and blaming the administration for bringing insecurity. He was elected on an overwhelming mandate to keep Americans safe. That's what he's doing.
Peter, we got time for one more, and that relates to this issue. When you watch people attempt to change policy with street violence, does that bring back bad memories for you?
Absolutely. This is very well organized, very well coordinated, and I believe very well financed by the Marxists and the communists in this country. And what we have to do, we have to dismantle that evil ideology that is coming to the United States. Socialism, unfortunately, is here, but it must be defeated. And the only way to defeat it is what President Trump is doing. We have to identify these people who want to do harm to our families here in the United States, and we have to deport the ones who shouldn't be here. So absolutely perturbs me that my kids are growing up to see what I left behind in Eastern Europe. As I said 36 years ago.
Left it behind.
Really quickly, a final word to you.
Yeah, this is a Marxist communist revolution.
Crazy.
This is a BMM.
They supposed to left it behind.
Repeat. So this is not just about immigration or illegal immigration. This is about America. We have to defend our country. Mass deportation.
Wow.
Peter, Sheree, thank you all so much.
Those are legal immigrants. They're saying they left their countries to get away from what they have brought into our country. And it's amazing that we have elections every 4 years and you can vote in whomever you want. When Biden won in 2020, Trump lost. You didn't have all of this going on. There was nothing going on. That administration, day one, they opened up the borders. They caused all that's going on. They caused it because they're trying to spin it that America doesn't want immigrants. That they just like want to keep them out or some sort of lie that's going on, because that's what it is. It's a lie. America is full of immigrants, but you apply for citizenship. America is not turning away those who have applied for citizenship. But what the Democratic Party did to this nation, look what's going on. This is now they're going to have 2,000 marches throughout the United States and take away the focus from the United States Army 250th birthday parade. That's selfish. They're out there doing all this protesting, and like they're not even focused on the men and women that are giving them the rights to be out there. It's crazy. And Democrats are trying to say, oh, they don't want immigrants. Oh, they're being fascist. They're being racist. They're being all of that. And no one is saying that America doesn't want immigrants. And that's the funny thing about it. We just don't want 20 million at one time because we can't afford it. That's all we're saying. And we certainly don't want people coming to our country flying someone else's flag and disrespecting us and talking down about us, that they don't love America. They just want to use us. And that's why Black people stand down. This is not our fight. Stand down.
Michaela, why you say that?
What did she say?
She said that we're out of our mind.
Yeah, okay. No, the truth, thank you all truth seekers that are on here, because one thing we're not going to do, we're not going to pretend and lie that it is what it isn't. I mean, this stuff that has going on right now is un-American. It's un-American. And as Americans, this kind of stuff, it affects all of us. The stuff that they're doing.
Children, expect your children, and expect your children. It's going to expect for people, Americans, for years to come because of this Democratic Party, their agenda.
Their agenda has hurt all of us.
I don't even really know what was the point of even bringing them here. I don't know if it was votes.
It was for votes. This is always about votes. It's about votes. That's all this is about.
It's crazy.
It's about votes. They don't care. The Democratic Party, the leadership that's funding this, because you got to follow the money trail. This is being funded. This is well organized. I'm an organized act. This is totally organized, all of this. To get people out on the streets as fast as they're getting them out. They're giving them masks. They're giving them
Michaela, it's already been debunked. Trump is not racist.
We're not going to go for that.
We do not move to America because we think it's a better country. We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history, literally all of the above. We just moved here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families.
Tell us the truth.
Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars? Not even 15 American dollars. Right now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babes.
This is what's here. Okay, let's hear. She has a lot to say.
This, we do not move to America because we think it's a better country.
Tell them.
We move here because it's a little less worse than our other countries. Because you're stupid to think that we moved to this country for some hot dogs and some baseball. We have better vibes, music, food, culture, history,
literally all of the above. We just moved here because we are looking to make more money and offer a better chance for our families. Did you know that the minimum wage a day, not an hour, a day in Mexico is not even 15 American dollars? Not even 15 American dollars.
You hear what she's saying,
Right
right?
now with $15 in San Diego, I could go maybe buy a matcha and half of a granola bar, honey. If you support ICE, you support people getting destroyed. If you support families getting destroyed, I hope you rot in hell. And I will see you there, babes.
See, she spoke loudly and clearly. I mean, this is the sentiment and the attitude that they have for Americans, and this doesn't make any sense. This stuff that's going on, and their disdain for America, and they are very emboldened to tell you exactly how they feel. They feel emboldened, but how they feel, they're not holding back anything. They don't care. I mean, she's being clear and she's saying exactly what's on her heart. And even this governor, Hochul and all of them, they don't care about Lincoln Riley. They don't care about Rachel Morin. They don't care about any of the victims that have lost their lives because of allowing people to come into this country unvetted, and people that actually hate the country. And it's a lot of people that are legal immigrants. They're not down for this. Just like I showed you the other people that was on the news, they're not down. They came in the right way. They left situations like that. They didn't come to the United States for the United States to be overrun by people who are illegally here. It doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't make any sense. You're going to come here and you're coming for all the wrong reasons. It's all the wrong reasons. We want to get him on. This is someone else I want to get put on. Let's see. It doesn't make any sense what's going on. The lack of respect is really on another level.
You guys are living under a rock. You guys already know what's going on in LA with the ICE raids and everything else. I know there's a lot of mixed feelings out there, and trust me, this is from someone that came from an immigrant family, a Mexican immigrant family, right? So I feel I have a unique perspective because I worked at ICE detention facilities for over 8 years, because I was, law enforcement with the U.S. Marshals, so I got to see a little bit of what happened in the background. I had a lot of friends also that are ICE agents, right? That are ERO ICE agents, Enforcement Removal Operation ICE agents. What I can tell you is this: these agents are out there doing their job, okay? Whether you agree with it or not, whether you agree with the laws, with the immigration laws of this country or not, they're laws. These federal agencies, ICE agent, ERO, fucking HSI, Marshals, whoever, DEA, all the FBI, everyone's out there helping the Department of Homeland Security right now. These guys are doing their job, right? They're enforcing the laws that certain politicians, certain sanctuary cities, sanctuary states in our case, fail to enforce. They failed to enforce these laws, and they got out of control, and now this is what's happening. I'm sure some of those people are hardworking people, that I understand they have families, they have kids, people of good, people that mean well. But if they're here in the country illegally, it's illegal. It's in the word, right? And before I hear anyone say anything about me being a hypocrite because I'm Mexican, right? Let me remind everyone that my family came here the legal way. My grandparents, which were fucking busted their ass working in the fields, picking crops, came here the legal way. It's hard for me to understand how people can be so outraged when they're held accountable, right? They're being arrested, they're being deported because they're here illegally, because they overstayed their visas or they came here into the country illegally, and they're still fucking getting mad.
Which is so weird to me.
This is crazy. What's going on. It's like really weird. And people are speaking up. I mean, they're breaking the law. The behavior is out of order. And it's like crazy. And they feel like they have a right to destroy our cities, destroy property, attack the officers, don't want to follow the law. I mean, the law's like, let you go throw rocks at a cop and see what happens. It doesn't make any sense, the things that are going on and what's, they are expected to act like they want to be here in this country. But black people, we're not here for it.
And on the front line like we always have. But ain't this the same group that refuses to stop saying the N-word? This ain't the same group that was being racist in Zoe Spencer comments when she was going back and forth with that Hispanic crowd?
To all African American citizens of the United States of America, I think, sit your butt down. Don't you dare march. Don't you dare demonstrate. Don't you do a thing. We did what we needed to do in the 1960s. Do you understand?
The issue is Black people, Black Americans specifically, our bodies have always been used as shields. And in 2025, we done learned and we are choosing to protect ourselves, protect our peace, protect our lineage. Because let me tell you something. Y'all already know what would happen if a whole bunch of us decided today that we was going to get the fuck up and go down there and get in them streets. Y'all know just as well as we know what will happen.
They tear gassed us, shoved elders to the ground, committed vandalism, and then blamed us. They shot rubber bullets at kids, and then had the nerve to call us violent. We showed up with our voices. They showed up with riot gear. We screamed, "Don't shoot," and they loaded that clip anyway.
So white people decided to join y'all. They said, we gonna join y'all. We gonna ride with y'all, right? As soon as the white people got out there, y'all all over the news and rioting. You know what I'm saying? Throwing rocks and bro. Throwing bottles and bro. Just like we said, as soon as somebody came out there to join y'all was gonna start throwing Didn't we say that?
Right now in LA, the streets are lit. Latinos are out there fighting hard, protesting, risking it all, and they're looking around like, where y'all at? Talking to us, to Black folks. But here's the thing. We've been fighting. We've been bleeding. We've been marching. We've been screaming since day one. And now some of us are sitting this one out, and folks are mad about it. But before you judge, I want you to really think about something. How can you expect justice on land that was stolen in the first place? How can anything be fair when ICE is showing up at graduations like it's normal? How can we all fight together when we're still fighting just to exist? I'm going to show you something, but don't just watch. Feel them. Ask yourself, are we all really in the same fight?
We're not. We're not in the same fight. We're not in the same fight. One thing you never hear Black people saying that they hate being America or they hate America. You've never seen us out there burning the flag, spitting on the flag, throwing rocks and bricks at our police officers. You've never seen us acting and behaving this way. This is not a part of our agenda. When we've been out there marching, it's because we had reason to for different injustices. These people don't have a reason to be acting up like that. You cannot bully yourself into becoming a citizen. You can't bully America to doing what you want us to do. You have to do things the right way here. If you want to be a citizen, then you have to apply for citizenship. No one is turning away applications. But this is bullying at a bigger scale that the Democratic Party, the leaders that are sitting back funding all of this, they want them to all these different outbursts. They want all this unrest. This is the plan. The whole objective is to push, to legalize these immigrants, but it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. They have to apply. We're dealing with a $36 trillion deficit that our president is trying to balance, which he won't be able to. You can't do this in 4 years, but we're going to crash and burn. But all this distraction on the Army's 250th birthday, and I showed earlier how Americans in 1991, when Bush was the president and he had a military parade, the American people were one. There wasn't any NS-13 gang members that our Congress people were flying over to El Salvador to bring back to this country. We didn't have open borders with Tren de Aragua, terrorists, fentanyl, cartel, all this stuff that's going on now. That party did this mess. And now they want to march. These people have been terrorizing Los Angeles, and now they like, oh, let us have 2,000 marches throughout the United States on the 250th birthday of the Army. Make that make sense. It's a disgrace. And then when Trump sent in, after 3 days, the National Guards, because they have caused millions of dollars worth of damage. Millions. They've been kicking, throwing bricks, destroying police vehicles, and they've been restrained. If that was us, there would be no restraint on them. It would have been over day one. So they know that those sanctuary cities protect them, and they know that they can do and act any way that they want to behave. But when you've been given food, shelter, education, health care, free SNAP, ATM cards, laptops, they've been given everything. They don't even have a reason to be out there in the streets, especially how you going to fight when you're wrong? You're wrong. How are you going to stop the cops from doing their jobs? How are you going to stop ICE? Those are federal agents. This is their job to remove these people off the street. It's their job. What makes you think a non-citizen can come into another country and stop their law enforcement from doing their job? Like they're going to overrun the government.
Yeah. Mom,
What?
What do you think the country would be like if Kamala was president? Right?
If Kamala was president, we'd be in World War III. The cops and the police would be run over by non-citizens, like they're trying to do right now. At least Trump will put some restraint involved, that he will send in National Guards. If they were empowered, that they would be running the country. They would be able to take over the country because their lack of action would allow it.
Has anyone heard from Joe Biden after he pardoned his entire family?
Go ahead. Have they heard from Joe Biden?
He pardoned his family and left. It was never seen again.
I mean, it just doesn't make sense. But they're trying to spin it like anybody that's not supporting these riots and anyone that's not supporting the attacks on infrastructure and police officers and the military and all that's going against, like, that people don't want immigrants. That's a lie. And that's how they're spending it. They're spending a lie. They're spending a lie. And then you have people that they're so emboldened, they're not even, and they're flying the American flag upside down. They're flying their country's flag. If your country's so wonderful, then that's where you belong at. You can tell this is in their country because the things that they are doing are showing that it's not their country. They don't have any respect for this country, and they show it to us. I'm going to go to some of the riots in a minute, but I want to show you the respect that they have for this country. This is Flag Day, and it's the 250th birthday of, it's the 250th birthday. Let's see, where is this at? I know it should have been in here. Is that all that? Okay, that's the wrong one. Oh no, I wanted to get the flag where they were burning our flag. I mean, they burned the flag with no problem.
With dignity.
No problem burning the American flag. It's like, there's no precaution. And people died to protect this country. I don't know why I can't find it. People died to protect this country. And the day that we're supposed to be spending honoring them, instead of that, it's been like all this unrest that's going on in our cities. And you have these paid protesters. They're being paid as well. It's not on here. They got all these paid protesters that are out there that's been given $200 to go out, and their job is to cause as much unrest as possible. Their job, they don't even know what are they fighting for. The immigrants that have come here into this country have been given everything. They shouldn't even be complaining. They're getting more benefits than our Vietnam vets, our military vets, all the Afghanistan vets, all the vets and the active duty. They're being given more benefits, and they're out in the street demanding what? That ICE don't do their job and deport these criminals? The people that they are deporting are criminals. They're trying to stop. And you know what the sanctuary city's been doing? They've been putting them right back out on the street. They had a guy, he raped this little girl and murdered someone or whatever. And ICE was right there. The freaking courts allowed him to go right back out on the street.
Right there to get him.
Thank God. They allowed him right back on the street. He looked deranged.
And you got people flying other countries' flags. Now you got people saying no kings. But what's funny what Trump said, he said, they call me a king. I can't even get anything passed.
I can't get anything passed. My kings, yeah.
I'm a king.
Because it's all a charade.
Yeah.
It's all a lie. And they're going to stop telling the lie that America that is against immigrants. You heard the young lady, and when they say they don't even like America. They don't even like America.
Florida in droves because this is the free state of Florida. They're moving here because they know their families will be safe here. Their businesses will be safe. They won't have to contend with what we're seeing in places like Los Angeles and New York and Chicago. Those things that are happening right now as we stand here today speaking. Our general was, I will say, very instrumental, was the tip of the spear in our blueprint for Free Florida. And now he's the tip of the spear in making sure that we are protecting what I like to call our 3 C's, our citizens, our cops, and our Constitution. And he has stood strong with not only law enforcement, but with us here in Brevard County, and we appreciate you. I'm gonna start out by addressing the doxing issue that we were talking about. Our ICE agents, just like our Florida Highway Patrol, are our partners. We all ride together in this. We all are out here to make sure that we're protecting our citizens, protecting our communities. Many of them have been called to the border. Many of them have been called to other locations to deal with the amount of fugitives and things that are going on, detainers. So for us, we will have their back. We will work closely with Colonel Howes and his team in making sure that we're increasing patrol. We're watching them. Anybody that's doxing them, as the General said, we passed a law about 4 or 5 years ago that makes it illegal to dox here in the state of Florida. So anybody that's doing that, we will take them to full task on doing it. We will stand with you. I want to define a couple things, and our general was very kind in how he said things. I'm not as usually as elegant in how I say things. So I'm gonna first say that peaceful protests are part of our democracy. We invite people to share their opinions. That's what our country is all about. The key word in that is peaceful. And if it's peaceful, us and law enforcement are going to make sure you have a safe environment to do it in. That's part of that process. If you let it turn violent, you do not want to do that in Brevard County. I'm going to tell you that, and I believe I can speak for my fellow sheriffs around the rest of the state. You don't want to let it happen. And just so there's no confusion, because I don't want to hear any whining later saying we didn't know, I'm going to break it down for you, all right? Because as you watch these riots unfold across the rest of the country.
Thank you, Endor. I don't know why they're having a hard time getting on
buildings
here.
Being burned down, police cars being bricked, having explosive devices thrown on them, having fire, guns pointed at them, bricks thrown at them, all and on. So I'm gonna break it down for you, all right? And if somebody wants to know what I mean by turn violent, all right, this is what I mean. If you resist lawful orders, you're going to jail. Let me be very clear about that. If you block an intersection or a roadway in Brevard County, you are going to jail. If you flee arrest, you're going to go to jail tight, because we're going to run you down and put you in jail. If you try to mob rule a car in Brevard County, gathering around it, refusing to let the driver leave, in our county, you're most likely going to get run over and dragged across the street. If you spit on us, you're going to the hospital and in jail. If you hit one of us, you're going to the hospital and jail, and most likely get bitten by one of our big, beautiful dogs that we have here. If you throw a brick, a firebomb, or point a gun at one of our deputies, we will be notifying your family where to collect your remains at, because we will kill you graveyard dead. We're not going to play. This has got to stop. You're watching what's taking place out there. You're seeing police officers that are being attacked, being spit on, being put in harm's way just for doing their jobs. You're seeing ICE agents that are being targeted for doing their jobs. And you're seeing obstructionists that are doing all of this, standing in the way of law and order. Not here, not in the state of Florida. So, to make it real simple, if you don't want to have any of those things happen to you, obey the law. Go protest all you want. Do it peacefully. Stand on the mountaintops and yell your opinion, your views. We invite that. But don't you dare break the law, because it won't go well for you. All right, Jim? Thank you, sir.
I think that he made that very clear that they're not having it in Florida. What's happening in Los Angeles?
Florida.
But you know what I'm happy, everyone, don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. We want everyone on here. That's why we don't ban people, because we want to hear everyone's opinion. This is way that we can have conversation about people, how they feel about like what's going on. Some people are for all this. There's a lot of people. They're marching all over the country. But I don't think that they understand that the election was won already. You don't make laws by trying to bully the country into doing what you want them to do. That's not how it works. I really wanted to looking for just a Philadelphia rally in Philadelphia. Philadelphia had like a huge rally, just like Chicago. They had a huge rally. And you have all these people, like they should be celebrating our men and women that fought and died for this country, but they're not out there. They're not out there doing what they should be doing as far as, being supportive. Yeah, this is like in Philadelphia, they're having, that's where the Liberty Bell is at, and the people are there, and they are,
wasn't that something with Benjamin Franklin too?
Yeah, Benjamin Franklin, yeah, your founding fathers and everything. That's the Constitutional Center is there, Independence Mall, they have, Betsy Ross House, all of that is there. But like this is like in Philadelphia, like what was going on in Philadelphia.
That rainbow umbrella.
Yeah, so they get them all together, and people were flying these upside down American flags and things like that. I saw that they got one there on screen. It's so disrespectful to our men and women of this country that we can't put aside our biases and just celebrate their contributions to this country. I mean, to even just plan this, they could have planned this next week. They could have planned it another day. They didn't have to plan this for the day that I just feel some type of way that people got family members that had fought and died for this country. And like in 1991, when President Bush had the parade, the Americans were so, they were honoring the soldiers. It was all about them.
That's what it means.
In modern times, some people display the flag upside down as a form of protest or political statement, symbolizing that they believe the country is in crisis and democratic institutions are under threat. But they are the threat. Yeah. It's almost like the kettle calling the
pot calling the kettle black.
Yeah, the pot calling the kettle black. It's like they're causing all the havoc. They're they had to stand down more because they were having riots. They're destroying these cities and destroying their own communities. Yeah, these are not American flags. This, I guess, as they say, it's Flag Day. I guess that's their flag.
Yeah, the agenda flag.
Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe. Like the 250th anniversary U.S. Army anniversary parade is not going to begin. It should start around 6:30. So we're just showing you some of the...
Yeah, and we'll start a new live stream for that.
So we're just trying to show you some of the events today, what has been going on. And if we put this energy towards us being one nation under God, this would be a phenomenal country. The United States should be a phenomenal country. So it just really doesn't make any sense that for all this separation, and it's with a lie. These are paid protesters are out there. They have paid these people to be out there. They have people doing interviews saying that they're paying us $200 to go out there. And some people, they're turning it down. They like, we could use the money, but we don't want to go out there because it's not right. We like love our country.
Kamala and Tim Walz lost the election, lady. She got stickers on her speaker that says Kamala and Walz.
They don't believe, like, they lost the election.
They lost the election.
And this is not campaign. They said, well, we couldn't win the election. The majority of the people have spoken, yes. But this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna.
That guy right there got a sign that says protect due process for all.
And this is like what's been going on is that they feel like, well, we're just gonna overthrow the government. This is like they want to overthrow the government. It's like they talking about kings. There's no king day. They act like they the freaking king. Mm-hmm. They want to overthrow the government. Forget about the rest of us, the majority who voted against all of this. And that's why it's probably going to come to a point that it's going to have to be America First rally to push back all this nonsense. You know, it's like they're not speaking for America. They're not speaking for America. But like if you're looking at this from overseas, you would think that this country, like we all are standing as one, and we're not. We're not out here destroying the country and acting like fools and pushing up on our on other citizens. They are ready to fight people. You know, if you go up, they had this one guy, this lady just attacking him because he had a sign supporting Trump, and they lost their minds. I see more Mexican flags in America the last few days than our flag. And like the lady said, we don't like y'all over here. We just over here because we can make more money. She said our food is better. Everything we do is better. We just over here because we can make more money in the United States. You know, they probably like flying these upside down flags. I mean, it's like no one is thinking about the people that died for this country. And I just really think that it's shameful. It's shameful. And this is in Philadelphia. This is in Philadelphia. This is a Philadelphia rally. And they went to, I think, they didn't have an Independence Mall. They went to the art museum. They just don't have their sound. But, you know, they're out there. And what are you fighting for? Are you fighting to overthrow the government? The government is not supposed to deport criminals, not even the criminals. That ICE doesn't have a right to do their job. Yeah, they've been warned. They're being told now they continue to riot and things like that. Cops are about to hit back now. They're not going for it. All right, Janice. Yeah, upside down. I mean, not even giving the military honor today. It's just shameful. It really is shameful. They cover up, but ICE can't cover up. They don't want to show their faces, a lot of them. This is Philadelphia. I'm going to show you Chicago too. Philadelphia, Florida. They're in all the different states, the protests, but this is a large protest right here. Illegal. They're illegal.
Excuse me. Sorry.
We never have numbers like this.
Tenemos que avanzar porque como que se adelantaron. Sí, mi amor, ya sé.
think they're making their way down to.
Wait. There you are. Yes. Very good.
Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe.
Thank you.
Yeah, normally we would have, we might have to jump off of this and come back on.
Toda completa.
It's your president.
on, and we tell them, and we tell them. Y'all don't even know the rest of it. Come on now. Well, that's what's going on in Philadelphia. They're live. There was like thousands of people out there. There were thousands of people in New York protesting. Thousands of people protesting in Palm Beach.
I need to
try to look at their live to see what's going on. We're waiting for the 250th U.S. Army birthday parade. So this is live. So that sheriff already said what was going to go down. They act up there in Florida. It's not going to happen. So they don't have. It seemed like they're trying to overthrow the government. They look more like overthrowing the government than anything else. Yeah, we might have to come on because we never get numbers like this. So I don't know what's going on, but we're about to change some few things.
Yeah.
Because we know what we usually get and what's happening now.
Today, many things are very different from that army here at Yorktown, but one thing remains the same. An undying passion, guts, and love for our country remains deep in the heart of today's army. When I look into their faces, you can see it. That will never change. God bless the United States Army, and God bless the United States of America.
Watching the very early stages of this 250th U.S. Army birthday celebration parade here in Washington. Sergeant Major, give us a sense of what it is that we're seeing here on the screen with soldiers in present-day garb marching with the music as opposed to what we're going to see from the period folks later.
So you're seeing right now is the beginning of the parade. You have the military district Washington commander of troops who typically leads the
Army Band Marching Zone. They are the premier music organization of the U.S. Army, our nation's most senior service, stationed at Joint Base Meyer-Henderson Hall, Virginia. It plays an important musical role in events of national and international significance. They were founded back in 1922 by Army Chief of Staff John J. Pershing.
All right.
Today by Colonel
USA.
Drum Major Rob Moore.
USA.
Today, Marching Zone is playing a melody entitled "The Army Goes Rolling Along." This was actually written in 1908 by the then Lieutenant Edmund Louis Smith Gruber, which was a descendant of Franz Gruber, who composed Silent Night. It was originally written to be the 5th Artillery Regimental song titled The Caissons Go Rolling Along, and in 1956 the lyrics were revised by Harold Arberg as the official song of the U.S. Army, and then retitled The Army Goes Rolling Along. Pershing's Own carries on its century-old legacy, playing a march that brings soldier, the Army Song. The 3rd Infantry Regiment, the oldest active duty unit in the U.S. Army. Established back in 1784, the unit was dubbed the Old Guard by Major General Winfield Scott during a victory parade in Mexico City after the Mexican War. It is the U.S. Army's official ceremonial unit and presidential escort, conducting year-round tactical training to ensure the highest standards and utmost discipline of its soldiers. The unit routinely represents the U.S. Army and our nation in official ceremonies, major sporting events, and their own, the U.S. Army's own Twilight Tattoo. The Old Guard also maintains 24-hour vigil of the tomb of the unknown soldier, while also conducting funeral services honoring our fallen heroes at Arlington National Cemetery. The regiment's 50 campaign streamer stand is a testament to its long, faithful service to our nation. Ladies and gentlemen, the 3rd Infantry Regiment, the Old Guard. In 1775, the shot heard round the world at Lexington and Concord sparked a revolution, uniting 13 colonies and forging a continental army from fathers and frontiersmen. Against the odds, they turned the tide at Trenton and Saratoga, survived Valley Forge, and at Yorktown forced a British surrender, securing independence and giving birth to the United States of America.
So, what do all these home buyers have in common? They're getting obliterated.
Army fifes and drums carried commands across the chaos of battle, telling soldiers when to advance, when to retreat, eat, even when to rest. That legacy actually lives on today with the U.S. Army Fife and Drum Corps, part of the 3rd Infantry Regiment known as the Old Guard. Founded back in 1960, they're the only unit of their kind in the armed forces. Performing in uniforms patterned after those worn by General Washington's musicians. Playing period instruments with patriotic precision, they bring history to life, sharing the sound and spirit of the Revolution through more than 500 performances each year, both at home and around the world too. The Old Guard, Fife and Drum Corps, everybody! And now, from high above, ladies and gentlemen, celebrating 250 years, your United States Army parachute team, the Golden Knights. Descending at over 120 miles an hour, the Golden Knights are using flexible wing gliders to maintain their formation. They open their main canopy simultaneously and negotiate the softest possible landing. I'll tell you, they can't hear you, but they sure can see you. You can give them a great big wave, ladies and gentlemen. The Golden Knights, the finest parachuting team in the world.
No way. I wouldn't do that. I parasailed before, but I wouldn't do that. I'm not jumping out of any planes. I'm not, I ain't gonna do Tom Cruise. That's a job for Tom Cruise. Just need a Mission Impossible music. Beautiful.
Fort Sumter in 1861, a nation divided. Over 4 brutal years, nearly 2 million soldiers fought to preserve the Union. Among them, 5 future presidents and the first recipients of a brand new military decoration, the Medal of Honor. With independence won, our nation's westward expansion began. The Army moved in step, guarding settlers as native scouts lit the way. Immigrants joined the cause, and the Buffalo Soldiers etched a legacy of grit and honor across the American frontier. As they march by, a soldier's uniform signals their duty, their role, and their readiness. And by the late 1850s, official regulations outlined distinct looks, shaping the Army's identity and function across the force. Soldiers were issued 2 coats. One, a short sack coat for work at battle, with brass buttons and colored trim that marked their rank. Well, by war's end, that rugged sack coat became the soldier's uniform of choice. As the war escalated, volunteer enlistment surged. Congress authorized support for a force of up to 500,000 new troops, answering the call to preserve the Union. As they march by, representing the Civil War era of our nation's history, is the 4th Infantry Division based out of Fort Carson, Colorado. From Fort Cavazos, Texas, home of legends, the 1st Cavalry Division rides with pride. Born from the thunder of horse cavalry traditions of the Civil War, the 1st team forged its reputation on the front lines of history. They stormed Manila with the flying column, charging into Pyongyang as the first to breach the line and face the brutal crucible of Iron Drag, the first of 13 named campaigns in Vietnam where they proved their mettle. Today, that same warrior spirit lives on. You'll know the name, and you'll know them by their iconic cap hats, elite soldiers, and cutting-edge equipment. Tough, fit, fearless. The 1st Cavalry Division is a lethal, disciplined force that stands ready to fight and win anywhere, anytime. And the legacy rides on. This is the CAV. Special thanks to our sponsor, Lockheed Martin. In 1914, years of escalating competition between European alliances culminate in the outbreak of the First World War. The 2 sides engage in a savage war of attrition, defined by opposing trenches, barbed wire, poison gas, and mass casualties. The United States initially maintained its neutrality, but was eventually drawn into the conflict in 1917. Despite having less than 130,000 soldiers at the beginning, the Army eventually grew to over 4 million, with nearly 2 million soldiers serving in Europe. In 6 months of fighting, nearly 50,000 Americans lost their lives, with another 190,000 wounded. The guns fell silent with the armistice of November 11th, 1918. We continue on with more USA World.
I love this supporting and showing respect and appreciation to our military. That's why the protests, they honestly shocked me, but nothing really shocks me that anymore with the Democrats. But to be protesting when we're showing appreciation to the military, dog, that's just low. Like, keep your personal feelings out of today where we're trying to honor the military. That's just low, but it's not surprising when you think about it with the Democratic Party. This is the type of stuff they do. They don't care about America. They don't care about soldiers. They don't care about anything except for illegal immigrants and abortion. That's their two main talking points. But back to the video.
At the start of World War I, the 42nd Infantry Division was formed with troops from 27 National Guard units, stretching across the country like a rainbow. Composed of skilled musicians from all walks of life and professional occupations, they perform a variety of musical genres. Though their mission is primarily a musical one, the members were ordered into active federal service back in 2004 in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom 3. The band has also served in support of numerous state active duty missions, including cleanup efforts following Hurricane Sandy, distribution support during COVID-19, and recently, support for New York State Corrections. Commanded by Chief Warrant Officer 2, Ethan Wagner, and led by Drum Major Sergeant First Class Drew Gans, the band is performing Over There, written in 1917 by Broadway composer and recipient of the Congressional Gold Medal, George M. Cohan. Representing the World War I era is the 82nd Airborne Division, based out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina. You'll notice the unit is wearing replica World War I uniforms signifying the soldiers who served our nation during this time. When the Americans entered the Great War, our soldiers under the command of General Blackjack Pershing hit the trenches in the new standard. It was the olive drab winter service uniform. Now on their heads you'll see a steel helmet with sand-textured paint built to deflect deadly shrapnel from above. Not bulletproof, but battle tough. Nicknamed the Pershing boot, on their feet was the N1918 French boot. It was designed to survive the brutal grind of trench warfare. And on their backs, the field pack, rations, ammo, first aid, and a gas mask. Everything a doughboy needed to fight and to win. Incidentally, the 42nd Infantry Division was deployed to heavy combat abroad and then deployed again in World War II, ultimately liberating the Dachau concentration camp. The 42nd responded to the terrorist attacks on 9/11. Later, with the war on terrorism, the rainbow stretched across the world again, deploying in Iraq and Afghanistan. Thundering into view, the pride of Fort Sill, the U.S. Army Artillery Half Section. This is literally powered by horsepower and heritage. This elite ceremonial unit honors the legacy of the Army's horse-drawn artillery. With precision, discipline, and 6 majestic horses pulling a vintage 1918 caisson, the half section keeps tradition alive and rolling strong, representing the power, pride, and precision of America's field artillery. This is Fort Sill's finest, ladies and gentlemen. Special thanks to our sponsor, Form Energy. World War II, a global fight for freedom. In history's darkest hour, the United States Army was on the front lines. From the beaches of Normandy to the islands of the Pacific, the greatest generation faced down tyranny and turned the tide. From bombers to fighters to transports, U.S. Army aircraft started to thunder across the skies in World War II. And take a look up there, ladies and gentlemen. Flying overhead right now, they are fast, they are fierce, and famously used in the Doolittle raid over Tokyo. Leading up front, the mighty B-25 Mitchell. Up next, the Cadillac of the sky, the P-51 Mustang. From the sky, we're back down on the ground. In World War II, one vehicle led the charge, the legendary quarter-ton 4x4 command recon vehicle, the Jeep. You might have a Jeep in your driveway, but not like this. The U.S. Army truck quarter-ton 4x4 command reconnaissance, better known as the Jeep, was an iconic vehicle of World War II and was the world's first mass-produced four-wheel drive vehicle. The Army used the Jeep for almost every military activity, including command vehicles, scout cars, and medical ambulances. Fast, rugged, the Jeep became a symbol of American ingenuity. From Fort Bragg, North Carolina, this is the 82nd Airborne Ceremonial Band. The 82nd received the nickname All-Americans after a contest as it represented the diverse origins of its members from every state. This name remains today symbolized by their iconic AA patch. Fort Bragg's finest, ladies and gentlemen. Give them a big round of applause, the 82nd Airborne Ceremonial Band. In a global fight like World War II, the U.S. Army knew our troops needed more than courage. They needed innovation. Uniforms evolved for every environment, but olive drab remained the mark of the American soldier. Shaped by lessons from the trenches of World War I, the Army introduced two battlefield essentials. The M1 helmet, tough, stable, and built to protect under fire, and the M1 Garand rifle, powerful and fast. It gave American troops a very clear edge. General George S. Patton called the M1 rifle the greatest battle implement ever designed, and history proved it right. The 82nd Airborne Division. The unit is best known for their bravery on D-Day, when 12,000 parachute and glider troops destroyed German supply lines after fighting for 33 days straight. The 101st Airborne Division, based out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky, traces its lineage back to 1918, when it first established as the 101st Division. Known for their ability to rapidly deploy across the world, the unit has held a crucial role in operations since its inception. From parachuting behind enemy lines on D-Day to leading helicopter assaults in Vietnam, the 101st redefined modern warfare. In the 50s, the Screaming Eagles stood tall at home, protecting the Little Rock Nine during the fight for civil rights. In recent decades, they've been sent across the world with stints as far as the Middle East, where they took part in Operation Desert Storm and participated extensively in the war on terrorism in Iraq and Afghanistan. The Screaming Eagles continue to lead the way as tomorrow's division in today's Army.
For your service. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it was the cornerstone of the U.S. Armed Forces, showing its military might in World War II. It became one of the most influential tank designs of the 20th century. The M4 tank was nicknamed the Sherman tank after Civil War General William Tecumseh Sherman. Actually, it was named by the British. With almost 50,000 produced during World War II, the Sherman tank was in active service until 1957. In World War II, the M16 half-track was a force to be reckoned with. It was a self-propelled anti-aircraft weapon with speed, firepower, and grip. Nicknamed the Meat Chopper, its quad 50 caliber mount could unleash 2,300 rounds a minute. Quite devastating. It served through Korea, Vietnam, and beyond, and remains in use in U.S. allies to this day. The M16 half-track brings the fight wherever it rolls. The U.S. Army Transportation Corps motto states, "Nothing happens until something moves." That was never more true than with this. Look at this, the 2.5-ton Chevrolet Deuce and a Half. Move up to 10,000 pounds of cargo and was the backbone of the Red Ball Express that kept the Allies supplied after D-Day in World War II. The Korean War, often referred to as the Forgotten War, began on June 25, 1950, with the North Korean Army's invasion of South Korea. A coalition of South Korea, the United States, and other United Nations members defeated the invasion and advanced into North Korea. The coalition fought and defeated 2 Chinese offensives in the spring of 1951. Armistice negotiations began shortly after that defeat in July of 1951, until the armistice was signed 2 years later in 1953. Combat consisted of small attacks, raids, and patrolling. During this war, the United States deployed approximately 6.8 million military forces to the Korean Peninsula. Special thanks to our sponsor, Coinbase. The M151 kept rolling along as the lightweight, high-mobility general-purpose vehicle replacing the famed World War II Jeep back in 1961. Officially named the Military Utility Tactical Truck, or MUT, most servicemen generally refer to it as a Jeep. The vehicle spanned more than 40 years in 4 manufacturers and were everywhere that the Army was deployed. Another rolled by earlier, and at 2.5 tons, this Deuce and a Half, the M35A2 classic military transport truck, was a mainstay of the U.S. Army for decades, particularly during the Vietnam War and Operation Iraqi Freedom. The Deuce and a Half proved its value moving cargo, supplies, and soldiers. Its capabilities include up to 5,000 pounds off-road and 10,000 pounds on-road, making it ideal for moving just about anything. In the jungles of Vietnam, the U.S. Army faced a new kind of war. Helicopters became the new workhorses of battle, delivering troops, firepower, and supplies into some of the most unforgiving terrain on Earth. This is the U.S. Army in Vietnam, the era of air mobility, fierce firefights, and unwavering brotherhood. And over the music marching through, the roar of these legendary Army helicopters takes to the air. Flying overhead right now, they help define the Vietnam War. That staccato beat of the rotor blades was a welcome sound to many troops mired in combat. From transport and medevac to close air support and reconnaissance, they brought the fight to the front and pulled the wounded to safety. The OH-6 Cayuse scouted the terrain with unmatched agility. The AH-1 Cobra, also nicknamed the Snake, brought serious firepower. Its slim design, as you can see here, helped it survive and thrive in hostile environments to protect soldiers below. And the icon of the era, the UH-1 Huey, the first turbine-powered helicopter in service with the U.S. military. There was nothing the Huey couldn't do. General support, air assault, cargo transport, medic evacuation, and ground attack missions. The Cayuse, Cobra, and Huey, ladies and gentlemen, three iconic Army symbols in the sky. The 1st Cavalry Division Band, based out of Fort Cavazos, Texas, has played a vital role in U.S. military history. Since its origins back in 1855 as the band of the 2nd Cavalry, it has supported operations from the Civil War to Desert Storm. Over time, it's evolved into a powerful force using music to strengthen bonds between soldiers and engage with communities. From World War II in Korea to the Vietnam War in Bosnia, the 1st Teen Band has enhanced morale and upheld the division's enduring legacy. Today, the band continues its mission using music to shape perceptions, foster trust, and promote national Army and division interests. Standing ready to serve, it remains an enduring symbol of the 1st Cavalry Division's legacy and commitment to duty. The band performs Hit the Leather and Ride on March, composed by Captain Robert Meredith Wilson. This piece reflects the cavalry's transition from horses to mechanized warfare, capturing the speed, the resilience, and the tradition of the division. From Fort Cavazos, Texas, everybody, the 1st Cavalry Division Band. The U.S. Army deployed large numbers of troops in support of the Vietnam War. The first contingent of U.S. Army advisors arrived in Vietnam in the late 1950s, and that quickly grew to a small team of around 100 soldiers, which then expanded to more than 600 over the next decade. As the war intensified, troops' numbers quickly grew as the war between the South Vietnamese government and the communist insurgents, supported by North Vietnam, intensified. By January 1969, more than 364,200 soldiers organized around 7 divisions and 20 separate combat brigades. The United States began withdrawing its forces in July of 1969, and the last Army combat unit left South Vietnam in August of '71. The last U.S. combat soldier came home March 1973, while a small number of non-combat personnel remained until April 1975. Representing the Vietnam War era is the 101st Airborne Division based out of Fort Campbell, Kentucky. The unit is wearing replica Vietnam War uniforms signifying the soldiers who served our nation during this time. Blistering heat, thick humidity, and unforgiving terrain demanded uniform innovation, and the Army, they delivered. New lightweight uniforms were constructed to move with the soldier. The M16 replaced the M1 Garand, calling for redesigned ammo gear and faster reloads in combat. Body armor got smarter, jackets and trousers got lighter, and field equipment was reimagined to meet the mission head-on. Gone were the heavy Mickey Mouse boots, replaced by canvas tropical combat boots that offered better grip, faster drying, and all-day endurance. Special thanks to our sponsor, Oracle. When Saddam Hussein's Iraq invaded Kuwait in August 1990, the U.S. Army deployed to Saudi Arabia to deter further Iraqi aggression in the region for what was known as Operation Desert Shield. By the fall, more than 750,000 troops comprising U.S. service members and coalition partners from more than 30 countries had assembled in the Saudi Arabian desert. In mid-January 1991, the U.S.-led coalition began Operation Desert Storm, which kicked off with an intensive air campaign designed to knock out key Iraqi infrastructure and weaken Iraqi forces. The ground offensive was launched in early 1991, where military forces overwhelmingly destroyed enemy tanks and vehicles. After only 100 hours of ground combat, coalition troops liberated Kuwait, and the Gulf War ended with Iraq's surrender. From Fort Riley, Kansas, this is the 1st Infantry Division, one of the Army's most storied divisions. Nicknamed the Big Red One because of the distinctive red on their unit patch. As the oldest continuously serving division in the U.S. Army, the unit has participated in every major operation since World War I, living up to its motto, no mission too difficult, no sacrifice too great, duty first. The 1st Infantry Division was originally established as the 1st Expeditionary Division in 1917 and spearheaded the American Expeditionary Forces in France during World War I. In World War II, the Fighting First stormed Omaha Beach on D-Day and liberated Nazi concentration camps. The highly decorated unit has had 37 members of the Big Red One awarded the Medal of Honor. In Washington, D.C., the 1st Division Monument stands in President's Park, memorializing those who died while serving in the 1st Infantry Division. Ladies and gentlemen, they are the Big Red One, the 1st Infantry Division. More military rolling stock. During Operation Desert Storm, the M2 Bradley fighting vehicle proved its value on the battlefield. It is fast, it is tough, and it is lethal. Named for General Omar Bradley, a leader from West Point's famed class of 1916, the Bradley was built to carry troops into combat with protection and power. Armed with a 25mm chain-driven cannon and twin-tube launched optically tacked wire-guided missiles, it played a critical role in clearing the way during the ground assault into Iraq. While the Paladin looks and sounds like a tank, it is technically a self-propelled howitzer that was first introduced back in the 1960s. Over the years, it's been upgraded to perform in versatile battlefields from Vietnam to the Soviet Union to Iraq. In the Gulf War, no division hit harder or moved faster than the 1st Armored. The 1st Armored Division, nicknamed Old Ironsides, is the oldest, most recognizable armored division in the United States Army. As part of the buildup for World War II, cavalry and reconnaissance units were brought together to form the 1st Armored Division in 1940. In the Gulf War, no division hit harder or moved faster than the 1st Armored. Old Ironsides really led the way.
USA.
During Desert Storm, they engaged in some of the largest tank battles in Army history that were decisive victories, shattering enemy formations. Based in Fort Bliss, Texas, America's Tank Division is currently supporting missions in 20 countries across 5 continents. From World War II to today, Old Ironsides remains battle-proven and always ready.
Yeah, happy birthday to the Army and to Trump.
First used in Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm, the M119 howitzer brought precision firepower to the front lines. Lighter and more mobile than larger artillery, it was built for the infantry brigade, able to fire high into the air or directly at the target depending on the mission. Whether used in battery formation or as a standalone support weapon, the M119 delivered reliable, responsible fire when it mattered most. Still in service today, including on the front lines in Ukraine, it remains a trusted part of the Army's arsenal. Special thanks to our sponsor, UFC. 2001, terrorists destroyed the World Trade Center in New York City and struck the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. using commercial airliners. In response, the U.S. launched the global war on terrorism. The U.S. would stop potential threats around the world and take the fight to terrorist groups and the nations that back them. The Army immediately deployed forces to Afghanistan to destroy Osama bin Laden's al-Qaeda terrorist organization and depose his sponsors, the ruling Taliban. The 2003 President Bush expanded the war to Iraq. Soldiers and other armed services overthrew Iraq's dictator Saddam Hussein. The fight to stabilize Iraq and prevent terrorist groups from overthrowing its new government continues to this day. The campaign in Afghanistan lasted until 2021 when U.S. forces withdrew and the Taliban returned to power. Over the course of the two-decade conflict, over 2 million servicemen and women, less than 1% of the American population, deployed in support of the global war on terrorism. Most of those who served were members of the United States Army.
What song is that?
That's a song.
What song is that?
Play it. I can ask Siri if it's a song. Siri, what song is this?
God bless America. I guess it's showing some of the crowd now. Can we get USA in the chat? Thank you for joining us, Speak the Truth 2.0. It's like a cloudy day, but it's like a sunshine is in our hearts. So we're just so thankful that it is not pouring down rain out there, that, you know, everyone's able to enjoy this magnificent parade. United States are the big guns. And I know Trump, knowing who he is, I know he wanted to really put out the newer equipment, the big guns, but people were complaining so much. So I guess he's like, we're going to have a parade and we're going to celebrate our soldiers. So we are thankful, and they are so deserving, and we are proud of them. And anybody that's on here that's a part of the military, thank you for your service. It's just wonderful being the big dogs on campus. I mean, to be a citizen of the United States of America is it's an amazing thing that we have freedom of speech and the freedoms that we have here that other countries don't have the freedoms that we have here in America. And a lot of that's due to our military and those that go out there and fight these wars for us and keep our country safe. And we just want to tell all of our soldiers to thank you for their service. And this is their day. It's about them, and they deserve it. After 250 years, you would think that everyone would be just showing them honor and the respect. And this, especially being this is the greatest country in the world.
The global war on terrorism saw the introduction of a range of new technologies on the battlefield. The 8-wheeled Stryker armored combat vehicle is the first new military vehicle to enter service in the U.S. Army since the Abrams tank back in the 1980s. The vehicle was developed to fill a gap in the Army's inventory between a lighter infantry and heavy armored unit. The Stryker armored combat vehicle enables the team to maneuver in close and urban terrain, plus provide protection in open terrain and transport infantry quickly to critical battlefield positions. The first Stryker vehicles were fielded back in 2002 with the first Stryker brigade combat team deploying to Iraq in 2003. U.S. Army Rangers predating the Revolutionary War fought in the War of 1812 as part of the regular Army and patrolled the frontier from Ohio to western Illinois on horseback and by boat with the likes of Daniel Boone and Abraham Lincoln in their ranks. After the 9/11 terrorist attacks, Rangers were called upon to lead the way in the war on terrorism. As part of the U.S. Army Special Operations Command, the 75th Ranger Regiment, based out of Fort Bragg, North Carolina, represents a lethal, agile, and flexible force capable of conducting many complex joint special operations missions. Today's Rangers Regiment is the Army's premier direct action raid force. It is always combat ready, mentally and physically tough, and prepared to fight our country's adversaries. The U.S. Army Special Operations Command is an elite group of individuals trained to lead and succeed in protecting the country from their threats. Composed of 5 units with unique specialties, Special Operations works in small tactical teams, taking on the most challenging and sensitive missions. Military legends to service members and civilians alike, they take on terrorists through quiet guerrilla war-style missions in foreign countries. Ladies and gentlemen, the U.S. Army Special Forces. The Stryker Brigade Combat Team combines the capacity for rapid deployment with survivability and tactical mobility. Adaptability and continuous transformation to overcome our enemies is vital. Fighting an elusive enemy in distant places and at home requires new tools such as unmanned aerial vehicles for surveillance and the the Brute Force Tracker to see real-time details of troop movements. The United States does not face the challenging international environment alone. Our network of allies and partners is an advantage that our adversaries can never hope to match. Over 80 nations have fought alongside the United States or assisted in during the global war on terrorism. The 10th Mountain Division's climb to glory began with its establishment as the 10th Light Division in July 1943, the only one of its size in the U.S. military to receive specialized training for fighting in mountainous conditions. After a period spent inactive as a training division and as a standard infantry division, the unit returned to its roots in 1985 when it regained its Mountain Division designation. In the 1990s, the division participated in numerous humanitarian and peacekeeping operations. During the war on terrorism, the 10th Mountain Division proved their mettle as light fighters through repeated deployments to Afghanistan and Iraq. Now, since 2002, the 10th Mountain Division, based out of Fort Drum, New York, has been the most deployed regular Army unit. Its combat brigades have seen over 20 deployments to both Iraq and Afghanistan in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom and Operation Enduring Freedom. To show America's military might, they have one purpose: to deter war and, if ordered, defeat the enemies of the United States of America. They are the 10th Mountain Division. Investments in cutting-edge systems, drone technology, and AI capabilities strengthen the force, equipping soldiers with tools they need to protect the country and defend democracy. The Army has 8 Stryker Brigade combat teams, 6 in the active component and 2 in the National Guard. More than 2/3 of the 7,000 servicemen and women who sacrificed their lives fighting the global war on terrorism were part of one of the Army's 3 branches: active duty forces, the Army Reserve, and the Army National Guard. The Army is continuously transforming to deter aggression to ensure our adversaries cannot outrange or outpace us. This transformation is not just about adapting, it's about maintaining dominance, ensuring that America's Army remains unmatched in its speed, flexibility, and ability to support the nation's strategic priorities.
appreciate you. Thank you for your service.
Keeping the Army forces battle ready and nimble makes transportation for the U.S. Army a very vital element. Spread across the parade today, numerous fighting vehicles, some designed for very specific functions and others for flexibility, but they all must be maintained. With over 200,000 trucks alone, wheeled vehicle mechanisms ensure that the fleet of vehicles are ready. And these mechanics get the job done. This convoy starts with the M777, a lightweight howitzer. These lightweight howitzers may not look particularly lightweight, but are made from like titanium. They are 7,000 pounds lighter than their predecessor, the old M198. Used by the Army since 2005, the M777 is currently being used in Ukraine. Weighing only 4,700 pounds, the M119 howitzer is smaller and is used by infantry brigades, particularly for air assault missions. It was first used in Operation Desert Shield and Desert Storm in 1991 and is also seeing active use in Ukraine. The 7th Infantry Division stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord has been seeing continuous combat action ever since activation in World War I. From Europe to the Aleutian Islands, Japan, Korea, Afghanistan, and the Pacific, the Bayonet Division boasts a proud history of answering the call of its motto, "Trust in me," with resolute dedication. Sent to deployments and conflicts around the globe since it was founded, the division returned to Fort Lewis in 1971, its first time on American soil since 1934. The 7th Division, originally called the Hourglass Division due to their hatch design, gained the nickname Bayonet Division during their deployment to Korea in June of 1950. At Incheon Landing during the liberation of Seoul, they were credited with plunging the bayonet into the heart of the enemy, with 13 members of the division receiving the Medal of Honor. The 7th enables and sustains the combat readiness of 2 Striker Brigade combat teams and a combat aviation brigade. With the American soldier, the cornerstone of everything the Army does, we are continuously transforming. Army careers span the spectrum from attorneys to astronauts and mechanics to engineers. The Army's greatest asset is our people, the finest men and women our great nation has to offer, with a myriad of talents that make us stronger. Aside from its people, the Army's next greatest asset is its technology and equipment. Coming up next, these vehicles offer a glimpse of what the Army employs for readiness and battle. The portable howitzers and the portable Abrams tank were used extensively in the Gulf War, along with Bradley tanks and the infantry squad vehicle. The ISB provides enhanced tactical mobility of an infantry brigade combat team. This allows commanders greater freedom of movement and action. The ISB provides the warfighter with increased flexibility to ensure infantry units maintain momentum to achieve mission success. When duty calls, U.S. Army soldiers don't just answer, they lead. From Fort Bragg, witness a powerful demonstration of strength, purpose, and the unmatched capability of today's Army.
The Army has made me see my potential, and I feel like it's molded me into a better person.
I grew up in a very patriotic household. My grandfather previously served in World War II, and his brother, my uncle, served in Vietnam. I can do this. If they can do this, I can do this.
When I was born, my dad was still serving in the military, and him coming home in his uniform, I'm like, yeah, I want to do that.
My motivation, I think it follows in line. I think with what my family's done is kind of a sense of duty to serve our country and give back since it's given us so much.
I'm a very, let's say, timid person, but definitely helped me become a more confident person.
Working with a group of my peers, it really shows how much working with the team can strengthen you.
Are you ready to go? Very good. I drive a lot of purpose in serving others. I think serving something bigger than myself gets me out of bed every day. Thank you so much.
I definitely pushed myself further than I ever thought I could go.
I joined military service because I want to deploy. That's my main goal, is deploy.
Oh, my favorite dog, German Shepherds.
If we get the call, we have to go somewhere, we'll do what needs to be done. That's just the way we operate here.
This is one of the few jobs in the nation where we all take an oath, say I'm willing to put my life on the line for you, and they're willing to put their life on the line for me.
Let's go.
This is what we train for.
USA.
This is what I do. My team leaders and squad leaders and
Go
exactly what I
Army.
do. Check equipment, check weapons, check ammo.
We're always ready to deploy within 18 hours and handle the mission at task. We jump so frequently so that our jump masters and paratroopers are ready to deploy.
I'm very passionate about being a jump master. The paratroopers, they see you and they believe in you. I love to instill that confidence with my passion into those paratroopers. It's a rush. It's great.
Drop and clear for personal drop.
This week we honor 250 years of valor and glory and triumph by the greatest fighting force ever to walk the face of the earth, the United States Army. For 2.5 centuries, our soldiers have marched into the raging fires of battle and obliterated America's enemies.
I love the Army. It's a great place to set yourself up for success, to prepare yourself for the future.
God bless you, God bless our soldiers, and God bless the U.S. Army.
Joint Base Elmendorf, Richardson, Alaska is the home to America's Arctic Angels, who execute expeditionary operations worldwide, conduct multi-domain operations in the Indo-Pacific Theater and the Arctic, and on order decisively defeat any adversary in extreme cold weather, mountainous and high latitude environments, through large-scale combat operations. The Angels are the Army's only Arctic division. Masters of Arctic warfare, the 11th serves worldwide in all climates. Established in November of 1942, the Angels of the 11th Airborne Division led the way in the Philippines during World War II and spearheaded an amphibious invasion of Luzon and distinguished themselves during the liberation of Manila. After a period spent inactive and stationed in Germany from 1963 to 65, the division operated as the 11th Air Assault Division with the mission of testing and refining the Army's helicopter-centric air mobility doctrine. Activated once again in June of 2022, they remain dedicated to defending America's interests throughout the Arctic, in Alaska, and beyond. The 11th Airborne Division, America's Arctic Angels. Requiring ongoing maintenance in the field and on base because nothing happens until something moves, wheeled vehicle mechanics supervise and perform maintenance, repair, and recovery operations on vehicles that serve the Army in a variety of mission-critical roles. Included in the array of mobile artillery such as Paladins and the Abrams tank is the Joint Light Tactical Vehicle known as the JLTV. It's highly adaptable, providing protected and sustained mobility for personnel and payloads. The JLTV is known for its off-road capability while providing armor against small arms and improvised explosive devices. The JLTV, right there. The U.S. Army Reserve is inseparably linked to America's long-standing citizen soldier tradition. Organizationally, the Reserve's roots lie in the Medical Reserve Corps, established back in 1908 to provide a ready reserve of medical manpower. This organization was folded into the new Officers Reserve Corps in 1917. The reserve organizations furnished crucial manpower to the Army during World War I and were merged into 1920 into the Organization of Organized Reserve. During World War II, the Army activated 26 organized reserve infantry divisions, and roughly a quarter of the Army's officer corps came from the reserve during the conflict. During the Korean War, the Organized Reserve Corps was reorganized and redesignated the U.S. Army Reserve. The Army Reserve has since served as a vital source of manpower for the force during times of need, gradually transitioning from a strategic force to an operational force in response to the pressures of the war on terrorism. In the 170,000 Army Reserve soldiers and 11,000 civilians serving their home communities, and when needed, they can quickly mobilize. The Army can't deploy, they can't fight or win without the Army Reserve. They are an important component of Army readiness. Let's have a big hand for the Army Reserve! Tomorrow's Army looks to increase safety and survivability, create efficiency, and streamline processes. The Striker is a great example of assessing evolving needs and developing the solution. Strikers provide a balance between heavy armor and infantry brigade and combat teams. When Americans hear the name Bastogne, they remember one of the heroic defenses, the Battle of the Bulge. Surrounded by German forces in the frozen forests of Belgium in December 1944, soldiers of the 101st Airborne held the line. The unit before you is a platoon from the Multi-Purpose Company's 2nd Battalion, 327th Infantry Regiment, 1st Mobile Brigade, 101st Airborne Division, Bastogne. They are showcasing the Army's Transformation in Contact Initiative, a program that allows the Army to rapidly test, evaluate, and equip our soldiers with the newest technologies. Modern, mobile, and mission-ready, the Bastogne Brigade continues to adapt to new threats while staying rooted in the fierce resilience that defined its birth. They are carrying the next-generation squad weapons, the XM7 and XM250, both equipped with the XM157 optic. The vehicles are the infantry squad vehicle, a new mobility asset that can rapidly move through most terrain types. The trailer is the S-MET, and it's capable of carrying heavy loads under its own power through restricted terrain. This platoon is equipped with 3 types of small unmanned aerial systems. They are the Ghost X, located on the S-MET, the C-100, and right above us there, the X-10D, which are flying above the formation right now. The Bradley fighting vehicle has proved itself to be lethal and survivable in multiple theaters since it first fielded back in the 1980s. Designed as a troop transport tank killer and to match speed with an Abrams tank, the Bradley is a fierce fighting machine. Bradley accompanies American troops often with the M1A1 Abrams tank, nicknamed the Beast, and Whispering Death because of its firepower, accuracy while moving, and its stealth. Together, they offer mobility and firepower, a fearsome combination. It's the premier attack helicopter in the world. The Apache entered service in the mid-1980s and continues to evolve and modify to meet worldwide threats. It can deliver intense fire on the battlefield with an array of aerial rockets, guided Hellfire missiles, along with 30-millimeter cannon fire. The aircraft you see here is configured with a sophisticated targeting radar system and can operate in poor visibility and in the black of night. With more than 1,280 aircraft in operation accumulating over 5 million flight hours, 1.3 million of which have been in combat, the AH-64 Apache represents the backbone of the U.S. Army's attack helicopter fleet and a growing number of international defense forces. Special thanks to our sponsor, Lockheed Martin. Now, let's roll on to the future of Army readiness.
Look at that.
The Army Research Laboratory robot dogs reflect the latest in Army innovation. Look at this. Much like a true canine, these robots can go where soldiers cannot. They have increased mobility, improved tactical awareness, reduced risk to soldiers, and enhanced teamwork.
And German Shepherds.
Robot dogs can explore terrain that may be difficult for soldiers to traverse, dispose of like explosive ordnance, and act in defensive posture or aggressive capacity when armed. The Ghost Robot Dog is another innovation that can adapt seamlessly for various missions from recon to bomb recognition. These dogs reduce risk and support soldiers completely in high-stakes missions. They have a standard walk speed of 2 miles per hour and are working towards 6.7 miles per hour sprint. As the oldest continuously serving Army band and the oldest unit at West Point, this is the United States Military Academy Band, ladies and gentlemen. The West Point Band traces its history to a single drummer and fifer appointed by George Washington during the American Revolution. Over the next 2 centuries, this band evolved into one of the most capable and versatile performing groups in the world. Prestigious institutions in the world where leadership is forged and duty becomes destiny. This is West Point, where Army leaders are made. With the motto of duty, honor, and country, West Point trains the best and brightest to serve their country as Army officers. Founded back in 1802 by President Thomas Jefferson, West Point is the home of the long gray line, a legacy of courage and excellence that includes 77 Medal of Honor recipients, 2 U.S. presidents, Grant and Eisenhower, and numerous generals, including John J. Pershing, Douglas MacArthur, and Norman Schwarzkopf. Upon entering the United States Army, all recruits undergo initial entry training, a highly intense and challenging training period aimed at developing a soldier's physical and mental toughness, instill discipline, train them in essential combat skills, and foster teamwork. IET transforms civilians into soldiers based on the 7 core Army values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. The Virginia Military Institute, on a mission to produce citizen soldiers, men and women educated for civilian life, prepared to serve their country in the armed forces. VMI counts a Nobel Prize winner, 11 Rhodes Scholars, generals, 7 Medal of Honor recipients, and a Pulitzer Prize winner among its graduates. As one of the nation's senior military colleges, students at Virginia Military Institute can participate in Army ROTC or the Corps of Cadets. While cadets in the Corps can serve in any branch of the United States military or pursue other careers, those in Army ROTC earn their commission as officers, ready to serve on active duty in the National Guard or Army Reserve. Each year, the Army Senior ROTC Blue Ridge Battalion commissions approximately 130 second lieutenants, ensuring that excellence in leadership continues in generations to come. The Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina, offers students the opportunity to participate in Army ROTC or the Historic Corps of Cadets. Founded in 1842, the Citadel is the 3rd oldest of the senior military colleges and is known for its Corps of Cadets living and studying under a classical military system that makes leadership and character development essential. While military service is not required at graduation, more than 120 students earn their commission each year through the Army Senior ROTC Palmetto Battalion, playing a vital role in shaping the future. As one of the nation's senior military colleges, Texas A&M University is home to both Army ROTC and the renowned Corps of Cadets. The Corps of Cadets' central purposes has remained building individuals that exemplify respect, excellence, leadership, loyalty, integrity, and selfless service. Students at the university who participate in the Army ROTC earn their commission as officers, ready to serve on active duty in the National Guard or Army Reserve. Each year, the Army Senior ROTC Warrior Training Battalion at Texas A&M proudly commissions more than 90 second lieutenants and is honored to shape the future leaders of the U.S. Army. In a powerful display of commitment, these future soldiers will raise their right hand and take an oath of enlistment, pledging to serve our nation. This joint formation is proudly led by the Joint Task Force, National Capital Region, and the Military District of Washington Retention Team. Shaping tomorrow's Army, West Point's most inspiring cadets remind us that America's future is courageous and in capable hands.
The pride to serve my country knows that I'm doing it not for myself. Every day I put on the uniform, I'm not just representing Caroline Robinson. I'm representing my company here at the Academy. I'm representing West Point. I'm representing the United States Army, and ultimately, I'm representing the United States of America.
I really came to West Point because I believe in the American dream and giving back to our country.
You're a part of something that is much bigger than yourself. You're a part of a tradition of excellence and a legacy that's connected not only to the Academy, but to the American Army.
I'm surrounded by people who want to make themselves better and serve our country.
Excellence is their baseline, and that to me is what it means to be a West Point cadet.
From the earliest days of our nation, this supreme tradition of American military service has been passed down from soldier to soldier and generation to generation, and it's a beautiful thing to watch.
My brother preceded me here, and originally I didn't really know what West Point was until he came. But when I saw the mission that they were committed to, of upholding the principles of American democracy and protecting the Constitution, I knew it was somewhere I had to be.
Every time that we lived outside of the United States, I always developed this sense of gratitude and pride of being an American. And I wanted to give back to my country what it gave to me.
And it wasn't until I zipped up the blouse and I put the belt on for the first time that I realized that I was going to be serving my country, and it felt right. West Point was the place that I needed to be, and more importantly, the Army was where I wanted to be.
I just looked to the left and right over basic training and realized that we all had the same American patch on our shoulders, that we're all fighting for the same thing. I mean, there is no better feeling in the world knowing that every single person around you is committed and willing to die for that mission.
You came for excellence, you came for duty, you came to serve your country, and you came to show yourselves that you are among the smartest, toughest, strongest, most lethal warriors ever to walk on this planet.
What excites me the most about my future in the Army is the opportunity that I'm going to have to give back to the American soldiers that I'm going to be leading.
Because ultimately, they don't get to choose. And to me, it's that burden of responsibility to be the best leader.
And as a young officer, that's going to be exactly what I get to do.
I was the cadet basic training first detail for the first 3 weeks. And I got to see the new cadets come in from their families' homes and being in process on their very first day and watching them grow so quickly.
I would do all the formations, and I looked out at these 1,000 new cadets, people who just come out of high school. They were completely different people.
I don't think there's another institution in the country like West Point where the student body is so committed to furthering the mission of America and ensuring our democracy and freedom for generations to come.
I'm really surrounded by the best of the best, and that's when I realized this is a place that I absolutely want to be.
West Point itself is an amazing institution, but it only provides opportunities. The people here have to choose to take those opportunities and grow and lead and serve. And the people here want to do that. And I'm proud to be a part of that. And I would tell any high schooler who is considering it, you won't regret it.
Mr. President, First Sergeant Norton, reporting for duty, sir. Ready to commence the ceremony as directed.
I state your name. Do solemnly swear that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States of America against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same, and that I will obey the orders of the President of the United States and the orders of the officers appointed over me according to regulations and the Uniform Code of Military Justice. So help me God. Congratulations, congratulations. Welcome to the United States Army and have a great life. Thank you very much. Have a great life. Thank you.
Ranger School is the best life insurance policy for our Army. It will always end with two people facing off with each other, and we need young leaders to be able to close with and destroy the enemy and defend our nation's interests forward.
Surrender is not a Ranger word. It's not an option. I know that I'm not going to be able to get to do this again. This is my chance.
It all starts at the legendary Ranger School, the crucible where these elite warriors are forged. It has been described as the longest approved gut check in the Army. Over 62 days, students will patrol hundreds of miles over mountains and through swamps under the crushing weight of their equipment. All the while, they are deprived of both food and sleep, forced to perform at the very edge of their physical limits. But it's not just the physical challenges that make Ranger School so intense. The mental strain will break these soldiers down to their core.
If I haven't come to God moment, I would take my PC off, my patrol cap, and on the inside of that, my commander gave me a Ranger tab, the yellow and black one that you get during graduation, and I pinned it to the inside of my PC.
Ranger School is not for the faint of heart, but for those who are up to the challenge, it is the ultimate proving ground.
They already didn't have enough beds for the people in our company. And our eyes reminded us that we don't have enough beds because there's not going to be this many people by tomorrow. Just a slight reminder of that. There's too many of you anyways, and not all of you are going to pass.
Rangers, if you don't figure it out, you're about to get another casualty.
It's completely different than what people would think Ranger School is like, but you can't put that into words, so it's hard to tell somebody something that you have to experience for yourself.
They got a saying, it's called as the tab turns. So Ranger School is continuing to change and to develop, but at the end of the day, it is the same, right? They're always going to put you in scenarios that is going to test your ability to actually make decisions on the ground.
As you go through Ranger School, it is a gut check. It's going to check you out. And what's going to get you through it is whether you have it or not. Thousands and thousands of soldiers train all their lives to come here, prepare themselves for the Ranger School, and only a few hundred leave here every class with the tab. It's not for everyone.
I'm not going to leave until I get it, so just buckle down, stop complaining, and just get the job done.
Please welcome country music sensation and proud supporter of our troops, Warren Ziders.
I don't know, it would be copyright with him singing this song. But we want to thank everyone for joining us. We expected more because we're so used to having so many more people on our chat. I thought this was a really important stream, so I'm really kind of shocked that it's only going to be thousands. But I expected like really great numbers because today is so important. But I guess that there are, a lot of protests that went on today, and there's people that are boycotting the parade, and that they don't want to show honor to our military. So I don't know what's going on, but we're trying to hang in there and try to stay on until um, the fireworks or whatever is going on. But the channel is not getting the views that we should be getting. I see it keeps on kind of bumping or whatever because I can see it back at us at certain times. So I don't know what that's all about, but we're going to be looking into it. But anyway, USA, USA, God bless America. Yeah, I expected, like, we're used to getting thousands. I don't know what's going on, like, with the channel today. I expect the protests, but that people, they're boycotting the Army Parade, but I expected still to have more than this on the stream. Yeah, this is far from our norm. And we're, staying on because there are people that are still interested in it. But this is like, we got to check out and see what's happening. But we'll do it after the stream and look at the numbers and why. Try to find out why this is happening. Hi. You're trying to, right now, just wait for the song because the last thing I want them to do is then say we're copywriting. Peace and blessings to you. God bless you. This is just so important that I just want to show my respect to the men and women who have been serving this country, and that everyone in this country is blessed by the military and they're keeping us safe. That's why it's so important to allow ICE, that's like our inside military, to do their jobs, get the people out of here that are causing havocs in our country. Our former president, he opened up the borders. America does welcome immigrants, but most countries welcome immigrants, but they come in legally, and that's a big difference. Even legal immigrants don't want people coming in illegally because they earned to be here and they went through the process, so they love the country. But when things are given to people, there's rebellion. That's why they're out in the streets. They were given everything. Everything.
Black Panther. Yeah.
Everything. Here, Black Panther. I've given you everything. They were given everything. They are prioritized above American citizens. Yeah. And they have the audacity to be out in the streets protesting and trying to prevent America from, they're trying to override the government. They're trying to stop our ICE and our police officers from doing their jobs. It's incredible.
I thought I saw it all, but they even have the audacity to put illegal immigrants over the military.
They even put them over the military. But that's because it's about votes.
Look at the poll we did.
It's not about the welfare of the people. It's about, even the poll, what is it at? 72 say no, because I said what was it? Does flying a flag from another country show respect to United States? 72% says no, and you still have 28% say yes. I mean, how could you say flying a flag from another country is showing respect to America?
Yeah, whoever voted yes, explain that.
That doesn't make any sense. So it's like crazy what's going on. But I'm really happy that Trump wanted to have a parade. The parade isn't for us as much as it is for the people that have served this country. And I think people didn't know how to separate what our vets have done. Like, people say, go up to them, they see them in uniform, oh, thank you for your service. But do you really mean that?
Yeah.
Do you really mean that? So it's ridiculous, but we're going to check because we shouldn't have more of the moderators saying something more than just people. And I don't know, because we want the people that want to argue in here, because there's no show unless all are welcome. There's no show unless we have a difference of opinion. We do want to hear from other people. And we might just
agree to disagree.
Yeah, we want to agree to disagree. And that's what this is about. We're not trying to silence everyone. We want people to be able to chat it up and have their viewpoints. That's how come I don't ban. I'm not banning a lot of people. Like people say, oh, we didn't, read out our, what we have posted, and like we do read different what other people have to say. So we just want to make sure that everyone has a voice, regardless like who you are or whatever. We respect everyone here, and that's how it should be. Even if you don't agree with us, there's people that's been on here that really haven't agreed with us, and we thank them for coming on, because we need to talk and we need to have the conversations, because most of us are Americans, and the only way that we can come in agreement if we know, if we communicate. We have to talk. Let's see, I don't know, this must stream might end, because it's like we have never gone down like this, so it's something that's interrupting the stream. When it gets like this, I know something like YouTube, if they're not sending the people, then we're kind of on here for nothing. We might just want to just ending the stream. Yeah. So anyway, you guys, thanks for joining us. I'm in it because I have to find out like what's blocking it. I don't know what's going on, but this is like unusual. Especially like a day like today. So it's something going on, and we're going to check it out. We might have to restart it. You know what I mean? Just take all the moderators off, take everybody off, restart the channel, and do it like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so anyway, thanks for joining us. God bless you. Don't forget to hit the like, share, and subscribe, and catch us on. God bless you. Thanks.